Now it is.
Fair enough.
Close enough.
All right. So I think you guys finished your rest, or
Yes.
no? Did we just end with the Dilophosaurus encounter?
If I remember correctly, we finished the Dilophosaurus encounter, and you said next time we jump in, we'll have our rest.
All right. So you guys, it'll be the morning then. I think it'll be late morning though, because in order to get your full rest, and also dress all of your wounds and deal with that kind of stuff, it's going to take a not a significant portion, but some of the evening. And so you guys, yeah, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to continue heading in that westerly direction that you were heading in then?
I think that's what we decided.
What direction were we heading? Was that to town or away from town or something else?
You guys were heading, I think, towards the mountain range so that you could make your way towards the land of the others, quote unquote, that the
Right.
dragon.
Oh yeah, because. Oh, that's right. We got in the. Nope, don't remember. Don't know what I'm talking about.
Cool. You've done that. Perfect.
Woof.
When we were playing Odyssey yesterday. Was that yesterday?
I don't know. Time is a blur.
Because you guys were doing that instead of Cryptostrad.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Anyway, Brian has no fucking idea.
Oh.
And he should probably take notes because his memory is terrible. Anyway.
Wow.
It was yesterday.
Ooh.
I don't think Chris wanted to tell you guys.
So you guys continue on, and you're still making your way through these thick woods, and it's still not very bright. Like, you can tell that it's a nice sunny day, but a lot of the light is still blocked by, the treetops and foliage and things like that. And there are plenty of animals that are kind of skittering through the trees and birds making noises and things like that. But you haven't seen any sign of dinosaur or anything like that in many hours, and I would say that it's nearing noon at this point. Are you guys concerned? Do you want to talk about anything, or do you just want to fast forward until
I just
happens?
remembered because I dropped out of a tree and landed on one, so it was the one along the trail. That's right. Ping! Just like that, everything came back to me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
I can't recall. I'll say it in character. Do any of you remember how long or how far the dinosaur said that our kind were from here to get off the alleged land that they supposedly own?
Yeah, they said that it encompassed almost the entire forest, but that's about it.
Are we surrounded by trees?
Very much so, yeah.
Perhaps we should try to get to a higher elevation or climb a tree and get a bearing of where we are.
Alright, climbing a tree. Okay, I would like to try to climb a tree. Okay, I'm good at athletics. Please don't make me eat my words. You made me eat my words. That's a 9.
So I think that and there are a few moments where you get nervous and your palms get really sweaty because, your foot will slip off, but After a while, you manage to get up high enough that you can see over the treetops. And why don't you make me a perception check?
Okay. Okay, that's going to be a 17.
Okay, so you can just barely make out this massive mountain range in the distance. And it is, it seems quite far away. If you were to estimate, you would think that you guys have weeks of travel ahead of you. You also see that sort of in like a northwestern direction, um, you can see that there appears to be some sort of a walled settlement made mostly of stone. Um, and you can't like make out any people or anything like that. You can just make out like the large wall and some of the buildings and things like that. And then maybe a couple of days beyond that, you can see this large river that is sort of running in that northwestern direction towards the mountain range. You would assume that it's flowing in your direction. I'm just trying to describe it better to you. I don't know why I decided to get into the current of it. Anyway, but it seems like a side town. It's mostly an open plain once you get out of these woods, but you would estimate that you have 3 or 4 days of travel before you're going to be out of these woods if everything goes swimmingly and you can move the way the crow flies.
Okay. She will relay this information and then say, I think we should make for the town.
Can you tell me the information again? I wasn't listening. I'm kidding.
Nope.
Weeks. This is... I just don't know in those weeks if I can handle many more of these encounters. Do we really want to slaughter that many dinosaurs along the road?
I mean, if you've got any better solutions, I'll hear them.
Our only other option is clearly to turn ourselves in.
It's better than we come of our own free will than in chains.
Is it, though?
I mean, as far as we're aware, there aren't any witnesses, so...
I am torn between these two decisions.
Said every murder hobo ever.
Perhaps we should take it a step at a time. Set our first goal for the stone... What was it? What did you call it? A settlement?
Yes.
The stone settlement may provide us some context as to where we are or what's going on here. Because honestly, we don't even know if those dinosaurs and lizards are being truthful with us.
Exactly.
If anything, a population center will give us more answers.
Well, it's a place to go anyway.
No, I really don't think you guys are murder hobos. Considering the situation that y'all have been put into on a strange planet where you don't know what the rules or customs or anything like that is, where it might be a penalty of death for trespassing in woods because monarchs are ridiculous, I don't think that it's necessarily murder hobo-y to be like, all right, guys, we're just not going to come with you, and if you're going to fight us about it, well...
It was more commentary on the line that I used. It was less me believing.
Oh, okay.
It was more of a...
I just wanted you guys to know that I think you're justified in your actions. You know what I mean? Like, I would...
I was going to say, fool of you to assume that we're murder hobos.
No, it was just the... There weren't any witnesses, so it's not really a problem.
It's still
Yeah, so-
stealthy if there's no witnesses.
I very
Okay,
much
so-
hope that we can encounter someone more like us along the way and get a different perspective.
Like us?
Not a lizard.
Right. So we make for the
All right.
settlement.
Onward.
So you travel for another probably 6 or 7 hours, and it starts to get pretty damn dark. Um, at this point, it seems like unless you're planning on continuing on through the night, it's probably going to be a good time to set up camp and rest for the evening.
What's White Woman Crazy's character name?
Enna. E-N-N-A.
Does Enna have an idea of how close we are to the settlement now?
Do I?
You'd guess maybe a week and a half, something like that.
Only about a week.
Better keep that good berry prepped.
Okay. And Gilthor. All right. Well, any volunteers for first watch?
Take it.
Hopefully it goes better than last night's.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Everybody go ahead and roll me a perception check.
That's the wrong dice. Ooh, 19.
19 plus... What is that? Plus 5? 24. Thank you, Die. That was probably my last good roll for the night.
13.
So, Gilthor, you can see that up in a nearby tree, the leaves are, they're bending in just an ever so slightly off way.
Oh,
And it's
boy.
probably a vaguely medium-sized way that, it's sort of obscuring and bending this light.
The fuck? Alright, so I'm going to, cautiously, keeping eyes, locked on it, slide over to the closest companion, whomever that happens to be. And, tap him on either, depending, the shoulder or the leg.
I think it's probably
How tall is-
Enna.
Yeah. How tall is Gilthor again?
He's 4 foot.
Okay, so that'd probably be around her shoulder. He could probably reach her shoulder. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he's just
What?
gonna do at the side of his he's gonna point it out.
Should go. What? Oh. Oh. Is that?
I know. Do you see it?
Yes. Now I do.
Oh boy. Great. What do you want to do about it?
I think we should be ready. Not ready to fight, just ready for whatever's coming.
How obvious were you when you pointed this out to Enna?
That's what I was trying to shuffle over and do the whole entire hand still at the side and slap to the side of me and do the head nod. Look, he's not very stealthy, so subtlety might not be his strong suit.
Why don't you roll me a sleight of hand?
Oh Jesus!
I think that's fair.
That's a -1. Oh, 14 minus 1, 13. Not horrible.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be moving. Go ahead and roll me another perception check, everyone.
Okay.
Ah, there it goes. 7.
16.
11.
All right, go ahead and continue doing what you guys were doing.
Oh, Jesus. You love to hear it.
So, Anna will turn around and she'll go. She'll have like sort of her hand on her greatsword, but just sort of go. Do you think we should make a fire?
I mean, if we've already been spotted, what's the harm at this point?
Right.
Yeah. Fire.
Fire, whoosh. Fire
Wait,
Ganassi.
what are you doing?
Fire Ganassi would like to make a fire, so produce flame.
Okay. I think, like, are you staring at this area when you do it? Like, are you trying to be intimidating?
You know what? Yes, that's very on brand for her.
Go ahead and roll me an intimidation check.
Okay. That's gonna be a 9.
Okay. You do this and you sort of flare up with flames and, you know, make yourself seem bigger a little bit, and the heat around you sort of intensifies, and you watch as the leaves in this branch sort of rustle, and you hear something drop to the ground. And as whatever glamour is on this creature starts to go away, you notice that it is an elven woman dressed in like a tunic made out of leaves, and she's got branches sort of like a laurel in her hair, and she's got this long black hair that's just cascading wildly around her shoulders, and she's got kind of this wild but also very old look to her eyes, even though her face doesn't necessarily look it. And she'll say, "Do any of you speak Elven?"
I might, actually. No, I don't.
Nope.
Nope.
So she'll say something in Elven first, and when she notices that you guys don't respond or comprehend, she'll say in common, "Calm yourselves. It's fine."
Why are you here?
I live here.
Pardon me, this may be a very strange question for you to hear, but where are we?
You are in a forest that has many names. The dragon folk, well, they like to call it by a very strange and guttural thing, but I know it as Fandolin Forest. And my people lived here long before the dragon folk ever showed up.
Could you rattle off some of the other names just in case it rings a bell?
What other names of the forest?
Yes, if you don't mind.
No, I will not speak that language. And she spits on the ground.
Oh, wow, didn't know you were racist.
You see,
I don't know if you've noticed, but they don't take too kindly to us either.
we were somehow transported here, and that name doesn't resonate with me. I was hoping that if you could just set aside your differences for just a moment and see if maybe you could help us out. Spell it, maybe? Write it in the dirt?
Listen,
then stomp on it ferociously.
There is a settlement nearby that they call Valhaven. Does that ring bells for you?
Does it?
No.
All right, here. How about this? Have you ever heard of anyone being transported here mysteriously, or anywhere for that matter?
Absolutely. You don't live for 800 years and not hear of a bit of strangeness.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to start, Miss...
You can call me V.
What did she say?
V?
Like Vendetta?
Sure.
8.
I was thinking more VI, but that's fine. Like, you can just use the letter if you want.
Oh, I was trying to get pronunciation. Okay. Were any of these transportations in a full-scale tavern?
No, that's a new one.
Another question. These dinosaur or draconic or lizard folk that live around here, they claimed they have a queen they would like
They
to take us
don't
to.
live around here.
They said this is their
They
forest.
invaded. No. They invaded. They took this forest. My people have been here for millennia. But their terrible creatures are... They're too much.
Oh.
So we hide.
How large of an army are we talking about here?
There seem to be countless numbers of them.
And you just...
Long ago... What?
Go ahead.
Long ago, they just appeared one day, riding atop these terrible lizards, capturing anyone who they said was trespassing and saying that we had to go and see their queen, and anyone who resisted was met with violence.
You and your people continue to live in this forest?
We fight when we must and run when we can.
And beyond the forest, what lies outside?
There used to be many great kingdoms of men, dwarves. Perhaps they still exist.
And you don't
But
know...
from what I understand, the dragon folk have... We are not the only people that they have slaughtered.
I haven't any idea if we transported to a new world or simply a new, I don't know, continent. You don't know of any means of transportation or potentially getting back from whence we came, do you?
I might have an idea of a way I could help you.
We'd love to
Unfortunately,
hear.
the magic is very, very old. And I think it would require a little bit of maintenance first.
A little bit of what?
Makes sense.
Maintenance.
A little bit of maintenance in my life.
Shit.
Nope. Not that. So, what kind of maintenance are we talking about? Is it repairing a circle, fixing an artifact, Doing some more magic somewhere in a place of power. What kind of maintenance?
Sacrificing a lizard.
No, nothing that vulgar.
Pity.
But since the grove was tainted, well, the restless spirit, haunts it? And she kind of like, looks down at the ground really quickly as she says it.
What did she say? Concert?
Haunts it. She says haunts it, but like really high pitched and quickly. Yeah.
Restless spirit haunts a grove. Oh boy.
Okay, so it's haunted. Yeah, Okay.
Not particularly.
Well, okay, it's not. Normally, one of our shamans would be able to release the spirit of its torment, but well, this is a bit different. Do you know what a white is?
John does.
Why
Vaguely.
don't you guys go ahead and roll me all history checks if you want? If you get above a 10, you absolutely know what a white is.
Oh yeah, 14. Okay, yeah.
11.
Nat 1.
Well, that's perfect, because Brian has no idea either.
Don't act like, yeah, I don't have any idea.
Oh boy. Well, they're undead, but a little bit stronger than my clerical abilities are to just purge.
Well, there are a few of them. So
Oh boy.
I'm not going to. Let's be honest. There is at least a dozen.
So, were we to rid this place of these whites, then potentially we could perform this old magic and get us back from whence we came.
Hopefully, yes. If that's possible. If you came from a different dimension, this magic can take you back there.
Well, I don't know about my fellow travelers. I don't have much to go back to. But I would have to see what lies beyond the forest, because there's no way in hell I want to dwell here and fight all the night days with these terrible lizards.
You should get very good at hiding them.
I am. The thing is, Gilfor here.
You're not wrong.
We were going to bed down for the night, but you spoke of a settlement, which, incidentally, we found one in the distance we were making our way towards.
Yes, that is probably the same settlement. Home to dragonfolk. You do not want to go there.
My eyes go wide.
It's going to
Which
be another chain situation. Probably not wise.
you had a different settlement in mind.
We don't have settlements anymore. It's too dangerous. Families band together on their own.
What, you all just swing about the forest and meet up from time to time, or do you actually make camp and reside in groups?
We meet up from time to time. too dangerous not to do anything. But if we know where each other are, if one of us is captured, they'll find us all, and we will all go before the Queen.
That sounds like a most unpleasant way to live.
This is my home.
Sorry, what did she say to my question of how many lizards there were? What the army was like?
Like it seems countless.
Fuck. How many of you are there in this forest, would you estimate?
200, maybe.
And
And that's including children.
these dwarves you speak of, you never see them?
I haven't in many, many centuries, no. Not since the dragon folk showed up.
My thought is, what is to keep you from leaving the forest to seek aid from others to fight these reptiles?
This is my home, sir.
I've
lived here for 8 centuries.
I only meant temporarily to reclaim your home, not to have to live like this. Surely there's a party out there with an army that could rival this lizard kingdom.
I don't know where we would find them.
Well, nor do I. That's why we would have to go look. If you would be our guide, we could all do this together. It would help you, and it would help us as well.
Seems sensible.
Your robot.
We're going to come back with the army to move dragon folk.
You roboted a bit, but she agreed.
She agreed.
And then she asked,
So our
"But you
plan is I don't want to mince words, so our plan is to cower until we can defeat these whites.
I wouldn't call it cowering as much as... I lost him. There he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, where'd he go?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
You sound better now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it cowering as much as temporarily retreating for a greater advantageous. It's cowering. Temporarily, though.
Ma'am, I don't wish to seem disrespectful, but you don't understand what these beings are like. They're ruthless.
Yes.
And if they wanted, they would murder every one of us and feed our corpses to their pets.
Yeah, their pets are a bit of in the large persuasion.
Have you seen the Tyrannosaurus?
Yes.
They have many. Their captains ride them into battle. They bite beings and leave their feet on the ground and swallow the rest.
A lot can happen in 200 years. The dwarves that I've known of were very resourceful. There's no telling what they've achieved outside this forest in that time.
All right. I suppose let's get you out of this forest. But first, we'll have to make camp. And she crawls up into the trees and immediately starts like weaving these hammocks with rope in between branches, and then like starts grabbing up other branches and sort of splicing them into the bark to basically create like these hidden areas for you guys to all lay down in. And then she tosses down a rope after maybe an hour and a half of work, and invites y'all up to nap in terrible rope hammocks.
I mean, she made 4 of them in an hour. That's goddamn impressive.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, like, you're going to have to, put your bedroll in there, and you know what I mean? Like, you're not just going, like, it's very rudimentary. You're still going to need to sort of flesh it out a little bit, but you'll be suspended out or up in the air enough that you're not going to, get eaten in your sleep. Which seems to be a main concern for V anytime that you talk to her about anything, is that you could just get eaten in your sleep.
I mean, fair. That is what happened yesterday, almost.
And so, yeah, who wants to take first watch?
His offer still stands. So she'll take it.
All right, go ahead and roll me a perception check, please.
Yay! 19.
I feel really bad because I rolled nothing on the encounter table, so congratulations on a good perception check, I guess.
Thanks.
I always feel really bad when that happens, though. Like, when you're like, oh, hey, roll me a perception check, and I haven't rolled on the encounter table yet, and they're like, oh, nat 20, and I'm like, oh, man, really good job spotting nothing. Like, you're super vigilant during your watch. Like, it's a really, like, dude, you watch the fuck out of these woods, man.
So many fucking leaves on these trees.
Can you please tell
Right, dude, like,
all the details? There was a caterpillar crawling across this branch 3 trees over.
I kill it.
all right.
You'll kick
So I'm just
somebody.
going to fast forward you guys through the evening until the next morning, and you guys start making your way mostly in a westerly direction, because I think that V assumes that you guys just want to start heading towards the mountains so you can pursue these other kingdoms, right?
Yeah. As we are following this elf along, I'm going to start talking to my companions.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes?
What are we going to do?
What do you mean?
Is this old magic something you want to pursue and try to get home? Honestly, if we can find a peaceful place to reside here, I don't care where I live so much as if I can just find something to do with my life.
It would be shirking my clerical duties to leave my congregation indefinitely. I do have a desire to return.
I'm not really. I'm impartial. I do have a family, but we don't get along, and I go wherever Lord Atherdale is told me to.
I was banished from my tribe, and I've been wandering ever since, looking for my place in life, and so Whether it be here or there, it matters not to me. But if you wish to return home, I will help in any way I can.
I don't think it needs to be any time soon. Or we dwarves do live for a long time. I've got a number of years ahead of me.
If we
And I
do, if we do try to rid this place of its haunting, what are we dealing with here? She called them whites?
Yes.
and dozens of them.
And
Yikes.
you are not proficient in battling these creatures.
I'm proficient in battling the undead, the minor, zombies, skeletons, small things. Whites are more powerful than that.
Do you honestly believe the 3, potentially 4 of us can take them on, or will we need to get aid elsewhere?
Dozens of whites, 3 of us, with a well put together plan is questionable at best. I don't like those odds.
Keep in mind, is a question. Would it be considered metagame? Is it considered metagaming to like point out the fact that hey, I'm a paladin, I deal divine damage, like I deal radiant damage?
And hey, I'm a
I
cleric.
don't think so.
Destroy undead. I get it.
Yeah. It's just like we have to consider who we are.
Fair. Well, holy, if you can call yourself that, warrior and cleric, such as myself.
If I can call myself a holy warrior.
I mean, you do worship Asmodeus, so
Yes. Lord of the Nine Hells.
not particularly a divine sort, but, my theology be damned, I see.
I see my theology be damned. It's a shame that those who who end up seeing Asmodeus go there to be punished. But I guess because my god isn't good necessarily. It's not valid.
Necessarily.
I have only dabbled in religions. I don't know a great deal. I'm not so well read. If we have traveled to a different dimension, do you think that will affect anything in you performing your magic?
I don't think so. I mean, I did use a few smites on the people, people that we killed. But I don't think so. If there was something different, I would have known.
So my divine forge seems to be functioning just fine, so I'm not particularly sure what's going on.
It could be we're not in another dimension at all.
That's correct.
Would you like to hear my theory?
By all means.
Well, I watched as an object burned through the atmosphere, crashed into the forest, and set many of the trees ablaze.
That was our
That
tavern. You saw us come in.
I think so, yes.
Yep, that was us.
Can you tell me? You say it flew in, as in it came down from the sky?
It did, yes.
And did it just appear out of thin air, or did you see it from a great distance, or was it merely there when you turned around?
It was just there. At one point, I looked up in the sky and saw this flaming object careening at an incredible speed, and then I didn't take my eye off of it from there.
So no indication as to whether we teleported in or flew in.
No, I suppose not.
From the sound of it, it just sounded like we crash landed.
Right, but did we travel across the stars, or did we just dimensionally shift in some way?
I feel like if we dimensionally shifted, it would have been much less abrupt and much less destructive.
Interesting. This old magic, do you know of anyone who's familiar enough to answer some of our questions and somebody who could potentially tell us how we can even figure out where we came from?
I may be able to find Shinai, but that would be a gamble.
It would seem
As
prudent.
I told you, we have made a point to not know where each other are. But I could leave a signal. Maybe she'd find it.
It would seem prudent if we could find somebody to tell us what we're getting into before we just dabble with things.
My main concern, and this will tell you how much I trust the three of you at this point, I would start a small signal fire, send a few smoke signals, and hope she sees them. And with the wreckage of your tavern, I worry that there's too much smoke in the air for anyone to notice. We would also have to hope that at that very moment, she was near the treetops investigating for signals. And then we would have to hope that she was nearby enough.
It seems that we are putting far more than enough upon you. If we end up in we find these other kingdoms, I'm sure they will have scholars there who can help us without putting you in any more danger.
Incidentally,
I'm willing to put up the call. I'm just letting you know that the expectation of success is slim.
why do you trust us?
There's no reason for you to be here. And I believe you that you came from that Sky Tavern. And I know what those dragon folk are capable of. And unfortunately, the enemy of my enemy must be my friend in the situation I'm in.
Very well.
She's just going to keep walking west.
Theodore's going to kind of get lost in thought for a while.
All right. I would say that you guys continue until the evening, and V will say, within the next couple of days, we will be nearing the edge of the forest. And at that point, the plains, it seems dangerous to be that out in the open. But I don't know of another option.
Well, you've been in hiding for a great number of years. That's understandable. We'll be cautious.
Right. She's going to go and start setting up your tree fort situation, and
I can tell you this, as she's setting up the thing. I'll just call up into threes. I can tell you this. These lizards that spoke to us, they claimed the forest as their territory. They said nothing of the outside and the outskirts. When I said, how do we leave your property, they merely said you'd have to leave the forest. It implies that they are not wandering about in the plains.
that's a fair point. suppose I haven't conversed with them for as long as you have. At least not recently.
Do you know what their business is here?
It would appear that everyone passed judgment before their queen. It almost seems as though they just make up offenses to put you before her, and then you never return.
That's merely all there is to their plan. They just come here to bully people. They're not looking for mining or resources or financial gain or anything of that matter.
It doesn't seem so, but you're again talking to someone who has spent the last 200 years living in a tree. I move night to night. I don't exactly do reconnaissance on them. So the last time that I was close to a dragon folk, I put 3 arrows in his head. That's just the way it is. I don't talk to them. I shoot them or I run from them.
I understand.
I mean, they're just an invading army. And conquerors, all the resources ostensibly, territory, power. Who knows? There doesn't need to be a rhyme or a reason as long as conquest is, put on the table.
If you head east, there is a chance they are cutting down the trees for lumber. I don't go that direction because that's where they are.
Perhaps. Do I know about that mountain in the distance? Did Anna tell me?
I think you were told about the mountain range, yeah.
Yeah, she relayed the whole landscape, everything that she could see. She told you guys.
Perhaps, past the plains, on top of the mountain, from a greater elevation, we can see what's going on. How large this palace is, if they have any villages or cities, siege equipment, that sort of thing.
That's not a bad plan. I would assume that the mountain range is a significant barrier, and it might be what's holding them back from attacking whatever on the other side.
And in your time, slaying them with arrows and such, you've never noticed anything on their corpses beyond their own possessions? No sign of dwarves or dwarvish armor or anything of that nature?
The only thing that I keep finding is they all have, well, not all of them, but many of them have pendants or little carved figurines of this 3-headed dragon.
Oh, right. Their deity.
You know of this deity?
They refer to her as Tiamat.
Tiamat.
She'll kind of shake her head and shrug.
You've never seen any such dragons flying in the sky or anything, have you?
I've seen 1-headed dragons fly, but never 3. I've heard legend of Hydra, but they don't fly.
When you talk about dragons in the sky, I'm gonna get real shifty.
Why did you get
They're
so
not
shifty
common.
on this?
It's one thing to deal with dinosaurs of the sort. It's a whole nother to deal with dragons.
Have you not heard the words that have been coming out of my mouth? Dragon folk. They are of dragons. They are not dinosaur people. They have just tamed the dinosaurs.
I suppose I just didn't realize they'd brought them with them.
Somehow. I do not know where they came from.
Well, this is very distressing. If they have flying creatures, then their limit is not necessarily the forest. They could potentially expand and travel anywhere they please.
Hopefully they have no reason to pursue us then.
I didn't see why
They
they
have
would.
reason to pursue us, don't they?
Ah!
Well, I don't believe that they believe they have a reason to pursue us.
We didn't
That's all that
leave
matters.
any evidence of ourselves behind.
Well, of us particularly. Also, we didn't leave a trail, so it helps.
Well,
Yes,
This
we
is
should
good.
be fine.
for the time being, I reckon I will take the first watch tonight.
Thank you.
All right, why don't you go ahead and roll me a perception check?
16, 17, 18, 19 total.
So you're up and you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs and looking around, and you notice that walking on the ground, there are a couple of dragon folk that are carrying these long halberds, and they're dressed in these breastplates that are emblazoned with this three-headed dragon symbol on it, and they're just kind of talking to each other in a language that you can understand, and it's pretty easy to hear them talking from this distance. And there's four of them, and they're just kind of patrolling the woods and looking around, and it doesn't seem as though they've noticed you.
I have dark vision, but is it like a moonlit night or something? Could others see them?
Yeah, I think that it's relatively bright out.
Nobody's snoring right now.
I was also going to say everybody in this party has dark vision.
Oh, we do. Okay, perfect. Who's closest to me?
I would say me.
I'm not going to do anything yet. As long as my party members aren't making sound, I'm just going to observe right now.
All right, everybody roll me a d20. Don't roll a nat one.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, Tim, why did you say that to me?
The last time a DM told me, as long as you don't roll a natural one, you'll be fine, I dropped the fly down the well.
I got a 19.
But
so
it's
we're
16. Yeah.
All right, now go ahead and roll for V real quick. Hold on, guys. I'm going to send you a picture real quick because this is fucking hilarious.
Fucker.
Are you kidding me?
Yup. No fucking shit, dude.
We should have made you roll in the chat.
I'm cursed.
5.
God. Wonderful. Excellent. Perfect. Stupendous.
At
I
least
think right at that moment that these dragon folk are nearest to the tree, so they're still probably like 30 feet away. V sort of just moves ever so slightly and then coughs. And you see all four of them stop, and they look up into the tree. Go ahead and roll me a stealth check.
who's rolling stealth checks?
You.
Not the party.
Brian, please.
I'm asleep.
15.
So actually, for like 10 minutes, and not another noise happens. And so unless you would like to do something, it looks as though they are about to continue on their
How many of them did you say?
4.
Jeez. Okay, I'm absolutely holding still.
And they eventually get out of sight.
I don't think I'm going to wake up my companions yet. I would like them to get their rests for regen and all that.
Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward you guys. Like, if you weren't going to fight them, basically, once you get an encounter, this encounter table gets another encounter. There's no point in doing any more watches. There's like a 1% chance that you're going to get another encounter. So,
Okay.
Anyway. Morning, and do you want to talk about anything before you go on your merry way?
There were 4 of them last night, passed right underneath us.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It seems we've encountered them, 4 out of 5 of our nights spent here? Or 3 out of 4? I've lost track of the days.
They patrol incessantly.
I
There's
was
a reason
going...
we don't camp on the ground.
I was going to say, this entire forest seems to be completely littered with them.
Are you starting to understand our tactics now?
How are they funding? Seems like a logistical nightmare.
These are mysteries that I
mean, just the sheer volume of food to keep them fed. What?
Be surprised with
Well-
soldiers.
one of the things that I do believe, it seems many of them have a cleric or something, produce spells that create food there. God that they worship seems to grant the same power that any other god would. I've seen them eat those same berries that your friend Theo makes.
I see.
Berries.
She'll also show you guys that she has the capability of making good berries as well.
Well, good berry. Breaking all, supply chain math.
And legit, the entire point of this campaign is that worship Tiamat, and so that was one of the first things that I thought about. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Love to think about the.
There are definitely some things, though, that later in the campaign you'll find out that are definitely logistical nightmares.
Can't exactly feed a T-Rex to good berry.
Sure can't! And you're gonna fucking love the solution to that one.
Uh-oh.
Because, let me tell you, there's a reason that lots of people end up in manacles, and maybe some of them don't ever see the queen ever.
Oh boy.
Hungry. Spoilers.
There's just like manacles in the forest that are closed, laying on the ground.
What?
There's just like closed manacles in the forest, laying on the ground
Shit.
in a puddle of blood.
Like the goat in Jurassic Park.
Yikes.
Oh, if that's not right, the fucking there. Anyway,
It's the goat, but if the goat were the lawyer.
right.
Hey.
Look, I mean, I didn't write the movie. All right.
I think that you are all onto something from those beyond the mountain. Because if we're correct and they have the ability to fly, perhaps they are harrying those beyond the mountains as well.
Here's another thought. You never had any enemies in the last 200 years beyond the forest, did you?
Beyond the forest?
Or even in it. Any enemies at all, I suppose?
I mean, not really, no.
Good.
Before the dragon folks showed up, we had problems with creatures and certain groups of men, but for the most part, things would be sorted out with little bloodshed or just generally peacefully.
So there's little likelihood that somebody recruited these draconics to set up camp here.
I don't know, to be honest. That's a very interesting proposition.
I suppose we'll find out.
I'm starting to think that if you want your answers, we should try and find one of their captains away from a tyrannosaur. Because if we can capture him or her, we could get many answers. We also could die terrible deaths.
I was going to say, seems like a pretty significant risk. On top of that, considering how vocal the other ones were last time, I believe a captain would be more fanatical than them.
I think you're right. It is up to you. Shall we continue towards the mountains, or shall we go hunt?
I want to see beyond the forest.
Agreed. If there are any of my kin in the mountains, that should, well, prove hopefully useful allies.
Fair. I cannot argue with any of your logic, so shall we? And she starts walking off towards the west.
Okay.
And I think you guys continue for another decent chunk of the day, and maybe 1, 2 in the afternoon rolls around, and it starts to rain heavily. You guys aren't really getting rained on super hard just because, a lot of the foliage is blocking it, but after it's been raining for a good solid 30 minutes or so, enough of it's dripping off of the leaves and stuff that it's, you're getting wet all over the place. And I need everybody to make me a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh no. Doesn't get much lower than that.
Roll number 1 was a nat 1.
Same.
All right,
Roll
4
number
in
one
one night.
was a 2, so we're gonna.
Roll number 2
And
was a
roll
2.
number 2 was a nat 1.
Oh my god!
All right.
Fucking hell.
Good.
Nat 1s all around. You're welcome. I've infected you with my curse.
So you guys are walking for another 15 minutes or so, and you're all soaked to the bone, and all of a sudden V holds up a hand and holds up one finger to her lips. And she doesn't make a sound. She just gets very low and pulls her bow out. And she, in like the southeasterly direction, and you all pause for a second, and you can just hear the rain coming down, and it's beating off of the leaves above you. And every once in a while, you hear.
Oh. No.
I assume they're footsteps.
You would assume, yes. You have 100% heard these before.
Well, we may have our opportunity to capture our captain.
He's not away from the Tyrannosaur, though.
We may have our opportunity to be captured by a captain.
Oh, Jesus.
That also does not sound appealing. We should run. Fast. Now.
How far do you reckon we are from the edge of this forest?
You have magic to
A
hide
day,
us?
two, I don't know, but we need to run now or we need to set up an ambush. Pick one.
I would like to make a. Can I gauge a distance based on the sound?
I love Flustered Brian so much.
I'm like, it's like, here's the problem. He's the only person who knows Pass Without Trace here.
I think you would estimate you're going to see it relatively soon, and so you need to make a fucking decision.
All right. I'll do the pass without a trace then.
And you guys are going to start running?
Well, what's Anna think?
She'll say, personally, I think that we should just kill the Tyrannosaur and take the captain.
We don't know how many
Or
of
we can
them
run.
there are. And we don't have much time to set up an ambush.
Go then.
Here, let's get out of here, and then if we really want the captain that bad, we can follow them and get the advantage on our side.
You said let's go then, so let's go then.
Excellent.
Well, you cut out on Discord.
As soon as V hears that, she starts sprinting off. Like, that's all she needed to fucking hear. Like, and V is now moving so fast through the woods, like, reckless abandon.
Well, shit.
I mean, like, you guys can keep up with her. It's just she's gone as soon as you guys agree. Like, yep, let's go.
I take my action, and we all have plus 10 to stealth.
Whoosh, off
Yep.
we go.
I think we're going to end there then, because obviously tracking down and then fighting this dinosaur is going to take more than we have time for tonight. But I'm super fucking into it. So I super look forward to doing that next week.
Oh boy. This is gonna be a fucking mess.
I love this. I love this new campaign so fucking much. It's ridiculous and silly and just a sandbox. And watching you guys go wild in it is fun.
More theological debates, damn it. I was just looking for an excuse to start shit.
She's just like, a legit. What did you say? You call yourself a divine warrior, and it's just like, excuse me?
Oh, dude, if you guys want to do more role playing, we can absolutely continue. Like,
No.
I am super here for that. Like,
No,
don't
no.
get me wrong.
No.
No, not now.
Why
But,
don't
like,
you guys just argue while we're running?
We've started. I've
The
planted
fun-
the seed of continued argument.
You can't be the deity of the 9 hells and kill undead. A house divided against itself will fall.
It's like,
Asmodeus is the lord of punishment. He punishes the evil.
it's wait.
And I
Hold
look
up.
forward to joining him one day.
This is so wild.
But today won't be that day.
This